Welcome back to another episode of Black Metal Promo. Today we gonna talk about the history of Satanic black metal band, Inquisition. Before starting, if you are new to this channel and you love black metal, make sure to like this video, and subscribe to this channel. Let's get started.
Tonight we have a ritual of thrash. That's what it is. From 2004, Dark Mutilation Rites.
Inquisition is an American black metal band that formed in Cali, Colombia in 1988. But later moved to Seattle, Washington. On its earliest recordings, the band sounded thrash metal, but Inquisition, the first EP called Incense of Rest, incorporated more black metal influences. Now let's talk about detailed information about the band. Inquisition was formed in 1988 by Dagon, as a thrash metal act named Guillotine. The band changed its name to the Inquisition in 1989. Regarding the band name Inquisition, Dagon explained that it represented humanity's need to establish dominance, control, and order based on a particular period of our world's history. Dagon viewed this historical event as emblematic of man's general need to impose his rule over others. Now let's talk about band music style. Inquisition started as a thrash metal band sound like Sodom and Kreator. Eventually, they turned to black metal. Dagon explained that thrash metal had gotten boring, so he turned to black metal because it wasn't so outdated and uninteresting. The band described their sound as black metal with slow, deep, and dark riffing, sudden tempo changes, and melodic solo. These stylistic elements were mixed with old-school thrash metal-influenced riffs, darker and more chaotic black metal, and fast, tremolo-picked minor key guitar riffs. According to the band, Bathory's The Return album, along with Burzum, Immortal, and Polish black metal were band influencer. Since their debut, Into the Infernal Regions of the Ancient Cult, Inquisition has not been recorded with a bass guitar. Incubus and Dagon had too many problems finding a bass player years ago and cited reasons like drug addiction, and lack of a complementary ideological orientation. Dagon also said that singing style Reptilian, Metal Hammer journalist Robert Mueller compared his voice to Kermit the Frog. In response to the comparison, Dagon explained his approach and its history. Back in the day when I was thinking about a vocal style for Inquisition, I came to the conclusion that I did not want something screamed out at the top of my lungs. So many people were doing that, and still are, and identity is important to me, so I figured what can I do that the majority are not doing. Meanwhile I kept hearing this idea in my head of a spoken, like in human form of vocals chanting over very heavy, and at times fast music creating a contrast. That's why when people say it sounds like a frog or anything else, I feel I obtained what I wanted. I achieved that goal of keeping the human factor out of the vocal chants. Dagon cited early Graveland and Mayhem's De Mysterious Doom Sathanas as influential to his vocal approach. The Inquisition sound is also characterized by Incubus blast beat style, in which the snare is used in conjunction with the hi-hat or ride while alternating the two bass drums. Death metal uses this style of drum technique much more commonly than black metal. The band's compositions have grown in complexity over the years. One of Dagon's greatest sources of inspiration are Baroque composers. Baroque is a style of architecture, music, dance, painting, sculpture, poetry, and other arts that flourished in Europe from the early 17th century until the 1740s. Dagon explained Baroque period inspired him a lot more so than any other form of music. The flamboyant and excessively tonal and predictable style of that period's music amazes me more than any other period in the universe of music. The Baroque composers took music to a level never seen or heard before, light years ahead of its time, and also served as the core of inspiration and influence on the period that followed. The masters never feared taking expression to the highest levels amidst the complexity of their compositions, and they did not let technique get in the way of feeling. They were perfectly balanced in technique and emotion, two worlds merged into one masterpiece. Music is an expression, and should be a sophisticated tool for displaying the different levels of the human mind which go unseen. Dagon views on black metal. Dagon defines black metal as music that speaks for Satan, proving the existence of its force. Black metal in essence must begin with the recognition of Satan as the foundation of the black metal code. This is where black metal began, and this is how it must be, always. There should be no doubts. He described black metal as Satan expressed through sound waves and affirmed individualism, elitism, rebellion against unnecessary control, pride with a cause as virtues celebrated by Satanism. Dagon cited demonic art such as old diabolic woodcuts made in times when Satan was a real threat to people, as well as books on the occult, black magic, and demonology as lyrical inspirations. Dagon's lyrics are overtly satanic, and address both theistic and Lavean forms of Satanism as well as pre-Christian incarnations of evil, such as Baphomet, whom he describes as the mysterious war god demon of the Templars, and demons from Babylonian religion. Inquisition's music evolved into a more cosmic, metaphysical sound over time. Dagon confirmed these themes represent an extension and elaboration of Satanism. For Dagon, the energy of Satan is everywhere, including the cosmic dust that forms the ground we walk on and even who we are. Every cosmic molecule is in you and will eventually crumble and die, recycling itself back with the stars. Space in general is simply the most real heaven, and the most real hell you will ever come across, alive or dead. Band controversy. Inquisition has been accused of being a Nazi or white supremacist band, or at least having racist band members. Band frontman Jason Dagon Weirbach has an electronic noise side project called 88mm. In World War II and the Spanish Civil War, Nazi Germany used the 8.8 cm Flak 18/36/37/41 artillery weapon. A number 88 is also frequently used by neo-Nazis as a code for HH, which stands for Heil Hitler in the English alphabet. 88mm was included on the compilation called Declaration of Anti-Semitic Sick Terror with the track, 14 Shoriads, 1 Gas-Tight Door. The compilation was released by white supremacist record label Satanic Skinhead Propaganda. Antichrist Kramer, who owns the label, has also drawn the cover art of all Inquisition albums from 2004 to 2010. Inquisition also appeared on a compilation CD called, From Colombia with Hate by Silforium Records. In the booklet of the CD there is an image of the band in front of a Nazi flag. Now let's talk about the band's full-length studio albums. Since the band began and up to today, Inquisition have released 8 albums. In 1996, Dagon recruited Incubus on drums and Daband on bass. Shortly after band release full-length debut album, Into the Infernal Regions of the Ancient Cult in 1998. Into the Infernal Regions of the Ancient Cult is an album truly amazing. I love concept of this album. Hail to the Cult. Once you start listening to this album, you are locked in a trance of some of the best black metal songwriter of all time. This album is one of black metal's finest moments due to the memorable riffs, impeccably timed drumming, and unholy vocal delivery. The production is pretty great by 90s black metal standards. My favorite songs on the album is Solitary Death in the Nocturnal Woodland, Unholy Magic Attack, Journey to Inferno Corica, and Those of the Night. Line-up for this album is Incubus drums, Dagon vocals, guitars, Daband bass. After the debut album Daband bass player he was kicked out from the band due to drug-related problems. After that Incubus and Dagon decided to remain a two-piece. All subsequent albums were only recorded by the two of them. In 2002 the band released their second studio album Invoking the Majestic Throne of Satan. Personally I love satanic black metal rather than atmospheric or any form of black metal subgenre. This album is just another great example with satanic lyrics. In this album they have some of the best black metal riffs I've ever heard, and definitely a wholly unique take on the black metal croak key tracks like Rituals of Human Sacrifice for Lord Baal and For Lucifer My Blood. Dagon is one of the best at his craft. This album features dragons doing vocals, guitar, and lyrics, with Incubus playing the drums. To quickly summarize, this album is a decent black metal album, with thrash influences, and very satanic-based lyrics. The highlight is definitely those quality riffs, and in my opinion the best album they have done to this day. Track on this album are 1. Embraced by the unholy powers of death and destruction. 2. Enshrouded by cryptic temples of the cult. 3. Kill with hate. 4. Rituals of human sacrifice for Lord Baal. 5. Invoking the majestic throne of Satan. 6. Hail the King of all heathens. 7. The realm of shadows shall forever reign. 8. For Lucifer my blood. 9. Imperial hymn for our master Satan. 10. Outro. In October 2004 band released their third album, Magnificent Glorification of Lucifer via No Colors Records. This album got a positive and negative reviews by critics, so I think it's comparing to their previous album it does not match, however it's not bad album. The track of Blood and Darkness We Are Born features possibly the happiest riff Dagon ever wrote. Dark Mutilation Rites shows the band trying out a black and roll style, and it really fucking works and is easily the best song on the album. The title track features some really cool melodies. We Summon the Winds of Fire, for the Burning of All Holiness, features a nice little dissonant riff that the band would later utilize an improved version of on Cosmic Invocation Rites. The last track, Eternal Loyalty to Our Lord Satan, features a very majestic soaring lead. The production sounds great. It continues the overly distorted style of the previous album but with a cleaner recording. Things are audible, yet raw. With the increase in clarity, the heat of the previous album and the outro track on this album is almost 14 minutes. Track on this album is 1. Baptized in Black Goat Blood. 2. Crush the Jewish Prophet. 3. Under the Black Inverted Pentagram. 4. Of Blood and Darkness We Are Born. 5. Dark Mutilation Rites. 6. Magnificent Glorification of Lucifer. 7. Impaled by the Cryptic Horns of Baphomet. 8. We Summon the Winds of Fire, for the Burning of All Holiness. 9. Eternal Loyalty to Our Lord Satan. 10. Outro. In 2007 band released their fourth studio album entitled, Nefarious Dismal Orations, again via No Colors Records. After releasing this album, Dagon has been quoted as saying, "This album needs to be listened to from start to finish to get the feeling of it properly," and I agree. If you just listen one or two from the album, you won't get quite the feeling you get on listening to it all the way through. It flows well and clearly, and is sequenced just right. There are all manner of little touches on this album that make it interesting as well, like the insane howling at the end of Nocturnal Gatherings and Wicked Rites that sounds truly unhinged. Nefarious Dismal Orations is a solid, standard record from the duo. It would probably feel a lot more powerful if Inquisition hadn't taken to making variations on a single theme over the course of their career, but some album needed to shine the 8 least, and this is it. Track on this album are 1. Ancient Monumental War Hymn. 2. Nocturnal Gatherings and Wicked Rites. 3. Strike of the Morning Star. 4. Through the Infinite Sphere Our Majesty Shall Rise. 5. Infernal Evocation of Torment. 6. Where Darkness is Lord and Death the Beginning. 7. Nefarious Dismal Orations. 8. Enter the Cult Instrumental. 9. Before the Symbol of Satan We Bow and Praise. October 31, 2010 band released their fifth studio album, Ominous Doctrines of the Perpetual Mystical Macro COSM, through Icarus Music. I like this album and the album artwork. The production on this record is much more dynamic than on Nefarious Dismal Orations. The drums sound crisp, and they stand out even during the lead parts. The guitars have plenty of impact, especially during the solos, and Dagon's cold, ruthlessly affectless vocals are just freaking awesome, and an occasional acoustic guitar enhances the album's sound, and is seamlessly incorporated into the compositions. While retaining that indefinable mystical Inquisition aura, Ominous Doctrines of the Perpetual Mystical Macro COSM appears more concentrated and riff-centric than previous works. As opposed to coloring outside the BM lines, Inquisition develops its own unique scheme within them. This is not a reinvention, rather it asserts its dominance once more. Track on this album are 1. Astral Path to Supreme Majesties. 2. Command of the Dark Crown. 3. Desolate Funeral Chant. 4. Cosmic Invocation Rites. 5. Conjuration Instrumental. 6. Upon the Fire-Winged Demon. 7. Ominous Doctrines of the Perpetual Mystical Macro COSM. 8. Crepuscular Battle Hymn. 9. Hymn for a Dead Star. 10. Across the Abyss Ancient Horns Bray. October 25, 2013, Inquisition released their sixth studio album, Obscure Verses for the Multiverse, via Season of Mist. The album received very positive response from music critics. In this album there's plenty of experimentation and lots of surprises on verses, although Inquisition's instantly identifiable sound is still there. Songs like Darkness Flows Towards Unseen Horizons contain instantly recognizable drum patterns and guitar sounds. Arrival of Eons After is another track that utilizes traditional Inquisition guitar riffs, and the guitars in the verses oddly remind me a lot of latter era of Immortal Band. The band is doing some really cool things on this album, particularly with sound editing and guitar distortion. Spiritual Plasma Evocation starts off a mid-tempo dirge with some really cool and innovative riffs that couple nicely with the drums, and then shifts into the song proper, which is faster and fueled with blast beats. Likewise, Infinite Interstellar Genocide incorporates one of the weirdest guitar riffs and distortions I have heard on a black metal album. This song is also incredibly fast for the Colombian-American band, who seem most comfortable with slower paces. Inversion of Ethereal White Stars is another big hit for me, as I adore onomatopoeic music. The riffing and the high pitches in the guitars makes the song sound exactly like stars twinkling. Track on this album are 1. Force of the Floating Tomb. 2. Darkness Flows Towards Unseen Horizons. 3. Obscure Verses for the Multiverse. 4. Spiritual Plasma Evocation. 5. Master of the Cosmological Black Cauldron. 6. Joined by Dark Matter, repelled by Dark Energy. 7. Arrival of Eons After. 8. Inversion of Ethereal White Stars. 9. Infinite Interstellar Genocide. August 20, 2016 band released Bloodshed Across the Empyrean Altar Beyond the Celestial Zenith, via Season of Mist. In this album band members have a great and natural chemistry, and complement each other so perfectly that no additional musicians are needed. The musicianship might be repetitive, but it's good at what it is and offers some technically appealing discordant riffs and diversified drum patterns. The vocals might not be spectacular but suit the gloomy atmosphere and sinister lyrics perfectly. This mixture of elements creates a truly hypnotizing maelstrom from the beginning until the very end. If you have a dark side or would like to discover it, this is the perfect album for your journey. Inquisition convinces with its unique approach without any compromises or experiments, consisting of 1 hour of evil musical rituals developing a bleak fascination. It's the kind of music to listen at own private space, to dream yourself far away to a place of cold, mystery and terror, which can be both enchanting and liberating depending on your mental approach. Bloodshed Across the Empyrean Altar Beyond the Celestial Zenith has tons of atmosphere, authenticity, and depth to convince. The more you listen to it, the more you will love it. Tracks on this album are 1. Intro, The Force Before Darkness. 2. From Chaos They Came. 3. Wings of Anu. 4. Vortex from the Celestial Flying Throne of Storms. 5. A Black Aeon Shall Cleanse. 6. The Flames of Infinite Blackness Before Creation. 7. Mystical Blood. 8. Through the Divine Spirit of Satan A Glorious Universe Is Known. 9. Bloodshed Across the Empyrean Altar Beyond the Celestial Zenith. 10. Power from the Center of the Cosmic Black Spiral. 11. A Magnificent Crypt of Stars. 12. Outro, The Invocation of the Absolute, the All, the Satan. 13. Coda, Hymn to the Cosmic Zenith. On March 26, 2018, the band was dropped from Season of Mist, from a tour with Satyricon, and from several festivals due to child pornography accusations. As former allegations of possession of child pornography from 2008 were brought up against Dagon. As revealed to be in the public record by metal news website Metal Sucks, Dagon pleaded guilty to unlawful display of sexually explicit material, and obstructing a law enforcement officers in a plea bargain after the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children detected an account uploading sexually explicit photographs of young females in their early teens or preteens to the photo-sharing website PhotoBucket in November 2006, the account being traced to Dagon. A subsequent investigation of his computer revealed as many as 2,000 files recovered depicting Inquisition, Dagon, and his wife, and more child pornography, involving both young girls and boys. Enough of the latter category existed to fill 4 DVDs with images and videos. The charges did not require him to register on the Washington Sex Offender Public Registry. In the aftermath of the resurfaced allegations against Dagon, the band went silent on their social media for the majority of 2018, however, in late December of that year the band announced on their Facebook that they had started working on new music. A year later in late December 2019, they announced they had completed recording their next album. On November 11, 2020 the band released a music video for their song Luciferian Rays to promote their next album. The band's 8 full-length album, Black Mass for a Mass Grave, was released on November 20, 2020 through Agony Records. According to the band's website, the album was recorded, mixed and mastered between August and September. Dagon's vocals on Black Mass for a Mass Grave practically do not resemble the notorious reptilian or frog vocals, they are already much more melodious, even when compared with Abatha's vocals. My Spirit Shall Join a Constellation of Swords is quite a track. It's probably my favorite doomier song on this album, and it's also quite melodic too. Spirit of the Black Star, the first song on the album, contains a nice mixture of the more upfront melodic sound of this album and the signature brutality of Inquisition. However, my favorite track off this album has got to be the song with the Goliath title, Hymn to the Absolute Majesty of Darkness and Fire. Incubus really shows off what he can really do on this album. This has got to be my favorite release of 2020. Track on this album are 1. Spirit of the Black Star, 2. Luciferian Rays, 3. Necromancy Through a Buried Cosmos, 4. Triumphant Cosmic Death, 5. My Spirit Shall Join a Constellation of Swords, 6. Ceremony for the Gathering of Death, 7. Majesty of the Expanding Tomb, 8. A Glorious Shadow from Fire and Ashes, 9. Extinction of Darkness and Light, 10. Hymn to the Absolute Majesty of Darkness and Fire, 11. Beast of Creation and Master of Time, 12. Black Mass for a Mass Grave. So that's how Inquisition band's history goes. Feel free to share and subscribe if you like my videos. And share your thoughts about this band in the comments section.